Now, despite all the damage that's being inflicted on our environment, on our communities, despite all the horrors that people are going to face if the PennEast Pipeline is approved, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission has seen fit to only create a faux hearing process for all of us. So we are being given a mere 45 days to review and comment on a 1,174-page draft environmental impact statement, and the faux hearings that have been scheduled are falling smack dab in the middle of that 45 days. So in fact, FERC is only giving community members 24 days in order to digest that document and craft their substantive comment. Not nearly enough time. When you consider all the impacts that people are going to suffer, all the environmental resources that are going to be devastated because of the PennEast Pipeline project, to give us this faux hearing process where neighbors are not going to be allowed to hear one another testify, this process is really an abuse of power by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and the Commission just once again demonstrating that FERC is here to serve the pipeline companies. FERC does not work for the people.
I want to talk about a man named Thomas Bracken. Mr. Bracken is President and CEO of New Jersey Chamber of Commerce. He spent the past year and a half going up and down the state of New Jersey, extolling the virtues of PennEast, how great it's going to be for business, and how it's the most wonderful thing to ever come to the state. He's been on radio talk shows where he actually had a special guest slot. He has been in numerous newspaper articles quoted on how wonderful PennEast is. He was even on a panel with Maya talking about how great PennEast was. And he did all this always saying, I'm the President and CEO of the New Jersey Chamber of Commerce. I'm talking about business in the state of New Jersey. What he didn't tell anybody is that he also sits on the board of directors of South Jersey Industries. That's a 20% owner in PennEast. He didn't tell anybody he also sits on the board of South Jersey Gas, which is getting over 10% of the gas from PennEast as well. He didn't tell anybody that he owns 48,000 shares of SJI stock that's valued at $1.5 million right now. He didn't tell anyone that he had a massive conflict of interest.
As owners of a preserved farm, we are obligated to maintain the land for agricultural uses. The PennEast Pipeline would run directly through the middle of our hayfields and wipe out a large percentage of our crop. Our ability to qualify for farmland assessment would be jeopardized, and the value of our farm would be irreparably compromised. Some individuals have conveyed the belief that PennEast is a public utility, but that is not true. They're a private for-profit company for whom FERC should not grant the power of eminent domain. It's no wonder that PennEast has applauded the DEIS as released by FERC, since it complements their bogus claims to have completed adequate studies on the destruction their pipeline would cause. The proposed PennEast Pipeline threatens our water, our homes, our very livelihoods. We are the stewards of this land and its inhabitants. We will defend against this unwanted and unneeded intrusion with all our might. Thank you.
First, they published hearings on the draft environmental impact statement in the middle of the summer. Then they made a deadline for comments right after Labor Day, when people are bringing their kids back to school. Now they're trying to divide and conquer us by having people go into little rooms instead of having one big public hearing where our voices could be heard as one. What they're doing is shameful, and they won't get away with it.
My question, and I've contributed acres myself to conservation easement, is how can anyone, including the federal government, provide eminent domain to permanently preserved land that was facilitated by my taxes and the taxes of many other people? The question is, how can they possibly provide or go for eminent domain when, to everybody's best knowledge, this was preserved land forever? That's my message. Thank you very much.
I feel completely disenfranchised by this whole process. It's like they haven't even made a gesture, an attempt to acknowledge the opposition to this pipeline. Instead, they've just issued this DEIS that takes PennEast's word for granted when we know their lies. They've ignored thousands of comments from our residents and experts who dispute PennEast's bogus claims. And it's just a complete and utter sham. I'm just shocked and incredibly disappointed that this has happened to our process, what would you call?
Faux public hearing.
Faux process, faux public hearing.
I currently have 5 pipelines going across my property, okay? We are totally geothermal and solar, and I don't understand how another pipeline can come through when they have ones that they can use as transportation. They just don't want to pay a transportation fee to someone else. They'd rather build their pipeline. So these pipelines that are going through are going to have to go under the pipelines that are already on my property. Just Friday, we had a terrible storm that a surge came through and knocked out all of our geothermal, all of our air conditioning, and it took them 3 days to fix it. And I'm just wondering, if something happens with the pipeline, are they going to scurry? Are they going to go somewhere? I mean, it is unfair. Men have been coming on our property asking, saying they're here to survey a pipeline. I asked them what pipeline. They're like, the one somewhere around here. They don't know what they're looking for. They have no work orders. There are planes flying over the house that it's like helicopters. It sounds like Vietnam. It is so frustrating. It is taking over everyone's life, and it is unfair, unnecessary, and I would like to know why.
Thank you.
Shoulder forks, red-headed woodpeckers, and eastern box turtles, and it's a crime. Go ahead.
Well, everybody knows why we're all here, and this meeting with FERC is a real facade. These people are here to just help this process through. There is no even-handed situation here. We're just getting screwed, and these people are just saying, yeah, they did it all. Well, I got news for you. They didn't do any of it because nobody's been on our property. Nobody's been on lots of people's property. How could you have an environmental impact statement?